How a Luftwaffe officer saved 166 Allied airmen from the Buchenwald concentration camp. In August 1944, with the liberation of Paris imminent and Germany's defeat drawing ever closer, 168 Allied airmen who had been captured during missions over France, Belgium and the Netherlands were held at Frasnes prison, south of the French capital. Betrayed by infiltrators within the French resistance who handed them over to the Gestapo, they were placed automatically under the jurisdiction of the SS rather than the Wehrmacht. As a result, instead of being treated as prisoners of war in accordance with the Geneva Convention, they were classified as criminals, or in the terminology coined by German propaganda, as terrorist airmen. This classification justified their inclusion in a transport of more than 2,100 prisoners bound for the interior of Germany, specifically to the Buchenwald concentration camp. After an exhausting journey of approximately 5 days, the Allied airmen arrived at the camp located on the outskirts of the city of Weimar, where, like the other inmates, they were subjected to forced labor, exposing them to starvation and to the increasingly widespread transmission of disease among the prisoners. However, the fate of these men changed when Colonel Hannes Trautloft, inspector of day fighters in the Luftwaffe and a highly respected pilot with a long career, was informed of their situation. Under the pretext of assessing the damage to the armaments factory adjacent to the camp, the colonel toured Buchenwald to find out if there were any Allied airmen among the prisoners. The difficulty he encountered was that by then, the airmen had been so severely mistreated that they were practically indistinguishable from the other inmates of the camp. With no way of identifying any of the Allied airmen, Trautloft was about to leave when a man named Bernard Scharf, a gunner in the US Army's 8th Air Force and the son of German immigrants, approached him from behind a fence and explained the airmen's situation as quickly as he could. Aware that time was of the essence, the officer appealed directly to Hermann Göring, requesting that the airmen be recognized as prisoners of war, to which the Reichsmarschall, trusting in Trautloft's judgment, agreed. Thanks to this intervention, between 19th and 20th October, the Allied airmen were transferred to Stalag Luft III in Lower Silesia. In total, 166 airmen were successfully moved to this prisoner of war camp. The remaining two, the British airman Philip Derrick Hemmans, aged 20, and the American Levitt Clinton Beck, aged 24, died at Buchenwald from illnesses contracted in the camp, particularly pneumonia. Trautloft, who after the war joined the German Air Force of the West Germany and rose to the rank of Lieutenant General in 1970, is remembered not only as a celebrated flying ace, but also for this honorable act that saved Allied airmen, who, although enemies in the air, were entitled to the status and protections of prisoners of war, protections he took it upon himself to uphold.